Yeah.
Well, the Seven Habits, I think, is continues to be one of the best-selling books of all time.
Yes.
Your dad's legacy is huge. Talk a bit about the 7 Habits for a minute and the Covey power behind that. You're one of 7 children?
One of 9.
One of 9 children.
Yeah.
Sorry, I excommunicated you there. 9 children. 4 boys?
There's 4 boys, 5 girls.
4 boys, 5. Are you 4th or 3rd?
Number 4th.
You're 4th from the top.
So I was neglected. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, it didn't turn out too shabby for you. Your father was the co-founder of this company, many years ago.
Yeah.
For people that know, Stephen Covey to this day, his although he's passed about, 5 years ago?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. I should get my numbers right. His legacy's never been bigger. In many ways, you and your older brother Stephen and your brother Josh all work in the firm in some capacity. Your brother, of course, Sean Covey, or Stephen Covey, wrote the Speed of Trust book, which has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tell us about your dad. For those people who hadn't had a chance to meet him,
Sure.
what are some of the lessons that you learned, inspired from your dad?
Yeah. Well, I think I was lucky to have a good dad. It's like I think many people are. He was very humble. He was visionary. He believed in people. He embodied the leader in me. This idea of everyone has genius and everybody can be a leader, right? He was affirming, and he was known for his affirmations, and he believed them. He wouldn't just say them, right? He'd go up to people and like he'd come up to you right now and he'd say something like, "Scott, I see this in you."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, many times.
And at his funeral, we got hundreds. I started a huge book. It's about this thick of letters from people around the world that told their own experience.
Wow.
I was at this conference back in 1978.
We should publish that. That would be interesting.
We should.
Yeah.
And your dad came up to me after I spoke, and he said this to me, and it's impacted my whole life. I changed my career because of this one statement he said to me. And so he was a good person. And he got his strength came from his private victories. Right, so he was really good in the mornings. At night, everybody would stay up late. My mom would stay up late till 2 a.m. and he'd always sneak out and go to bed because he'd get up really early.
Yeah.
And he would get up and he would study and he would read and he would exercise, and then he'd come back and he'd show up for breakfast and he'd be like on fire. "Oh, kids, I got this great idea. I was reading this morning," and so there's so much positive energy from him all the time, right? And I remember one time. I was at a conference with him, and he gave a speech, and we were meeting afterwards, and I was asking him some questions about, "Dad, this is right after I'd graduated from college. What should I do with my career?" And he so affirmed me. And I remember thinking, "I'm not as good as you think I am, Dad." And then I said, "Well, what do you think leadership is?" We were talking about leadership, and he paused, and he said, "I think leadership is communicating to another person their worth and potential so clearly that they can see it in themselves." And that's a famous quote. He's known for now.
Yeah.
And that was before it was ever printed. I heard the original.
Wow.
And when he said it, it was up at Sundance at a resort where he was doing a conference. And when he said it, leadership is communicating to another person their worth and potential so clearly they can see it in themselves. When he said that, I cheered up, because it was so genuine, and I thought, that is leadership, and that's how you make me feel, Dad. Is you make me feel like I can accomplish anything. You know.
What a great dad.
Yeah. So
I mean, we think of him as a leadership guru and a Time magazine famous person, and he wrote this book, The 8th Habit, based on that principle. But what a affirming story to hear him affirm you.
Yeah, as good as he was in public, and he was a great author and speaker and person, he was better as a dad.